If you don't want to make your own stand, then you can use, this is a paper towel stand that I got from Bed Bath & Beyond, but it's very sturdy, can't knock it over easily, and she comes right off of the stand with the sleeve on the back here. So you just lift her up. Try and do this one-handed. You can see the stand comes up to, I'm going to try to remove it. And you can see how you can easily remove from the stand, and to place it back on, you just easily slip her back onto the stand. It works nicely if you don't want to make your own. And I got this stand again at Bed Bath & Beyond for only like $10. This is just a paper towel stand or holder. And then this is what she looks like with her arms in place and the straps of her shirt. Now I'm going to show you how to put the wire on the back to secure the head to the body. Now for the wire that goes down the back, I start with the color that you used for the tail, and then we're going to use some of the color that's used for the shirt, and then you're going to use a color that you used for the hair. So since I used the Pretty in Pink for my tail, I'm going to start with that yarn, and then I'm just going to make a loop. Hold the base of the loop with my middle finger and thumb, then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through the loop for a slip knot. Then just cinch the yarn around the hook, and then we're going to make a chain of 25. So I'm going to start with just showing you a chain of 4, but you're going to finish a chain of 25. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So go ahead, finish a chain of 25, and then come back. Then you're going to take and go into the second chain from the hook. After you finish your chain of 25, you're going to bring up a loop and make a single crochet, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch back across. So 1 single crochet into every stitch, and then come back. Okay, so I just finished my last single crochet. So this counts as your first row. Now go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work, and then you're going to make 5 more rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch, which will give you a total of 6 rows. So here this upslope counts as the base or foundation of your first chain 1. You're not going to go into that stitch, you're going to go into the next stitch over. And then we're going to start our 3rd row. So we're going to do 5 more, which will give you, counting that first row, a total of 6, and then come back. So 1 single crochet in every stitch across, then you chain 1 and turn your work. And you're going to repeat that 5 more times to give you a total of 6 rows. This is what mine looks like after finishing my 6 rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now you're ready to join your second color, so I'm using the same colored yarn that I did for the shirt of my mermaid. Just bring up a loop, chain 1, then just turn your work. You can cut the previous colored yarn, just leave a long enough loose yarn end for burying into your work. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then carry your loose yarn ends. We're going to bury them as we crochet. So then you're going to go into the next stitch over, go behind your loose yarn ends, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet. And you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch across. And again, you're going to make a total of 6 rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So you would chain 1 and turn your work, and then make 1 single crochet in every stitch until you've completed 6 rows with this color, or whatever color that you chose for your mermaid's shirt. So here you can see that I've already joined and finished my last 6 rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch with the yarn color that's the same color as the hair of my mermaid. Then I can go ahead and finish off and just bring enough yarn through for sewing, and then you can also use it for the hair. And this is how mine looks so far. You can go ahead and bury the 1 loose yarn end that you started with by weaving it through your work. And then just cut it. So this wire is hardware grade copper wire. So it's pretty thick. I need a pair of wire cutters to help me cut it. So now you can see where I twisted the 2 ends of the wire, and then I just kind of squeezed the wire as thin as I could, and then place it right onto the edge of the crochet work with the long end for sewing. Then you're going to take and just fold it over and make sure that the flap will come over on top on the edge to form the top covering. And then you're going to cover the wire and then use your tapestry needle to sew along the edge. So you just go right down and sew. And then you also want to sew the top portion. Then you can go ahead and tie a knot. And then just leave this yarn end for now. Now you want the same color as the light pink or whatever yarn color you used for the center. And then you're just going to sew down the center, and then just tie a knot. And then just sew the center portion along the edge only. Then I'm just leaving that yarn alone for now, and then I'm going to take and sew the last edge. Let me come in this way so I can bury my loose yarn ends. So you can see how I matched the colors with the yarn color that I'm using for sewing. And just burying the copper wire into the one edge. And again, I'm going to sew all along the top there to secure and hide the wire. Now you want to take each of the pieces of yarn, this is the long end that I used for sewing, and you're just going to bring it through to the edge on the opposite side. And you're going to do that with the shorter end as well. That'll just bury your loose yarn end. And then you can trim the short end. And then you're going to use the long end to sew the top flap down. So go ahead and do that with all of your yarn pieces. So now I have all of the yarn colors that I need on the opposite side. If you need more yarn, you just match the yarn colors that you're going to sew with. Then you're just going to line up. You need to make sure that you have a portion of it on the head to secure the head. And then you're just going to take and sew this strip in place. But the first thing you need to do is fold the flap over. And then you're just going to take your yarn first I'm going to get it through the tapestry needle. So then once you've lined up the back strip, make sure you have enough to go onto the head. You can take and sew. Now make sure you leave the bottom open, so you don't want to sew that shut. And then you just sew along the side. So I'm sewing this to the tail. Now when you go into the tail, make sure you go through the tail and then back up through the work. And then you're just sewing all along the edge to the tail. I'm leaving this bottom open, bottom flap open. So I'm coming out of the tail, I'm coming up through the top. And then when you go to the other side, you're going to go through the portion, you're going to go down and into the body, and then across to the other side, making sure you're still in the same colored portion of the tail. And so I finished the one side. Now I'm going to come across and sew the other side to the mermaid tail. Making sure that I don't sew this top flap down, because you want to be able to put the stand through. So you're only sewing underneath and keeping it open. And then just sewing the other side to the tail. So I went through the tail, so I'm going to go in through the tail and then back up the other side. So you're only sewing the edges to the tail. And then once you're finished, bring it back up. Then you can tie your knot. And then for now, I'm just going to leave this where it is. And then I'm going to go back to the center portion and sew it the exact same way. I'm going to sew it to the shirt along the one side. So I'm going down into the shirt. And then I'm coming up through the shirt and then back up through that colored portion. And then the same thing, I'm going to go across through the shirt along the bottom to the other side. And again, you don't want to sew this top flap. You want to keep it open so you can fit stuff into the center of that strap. So we're only sewing the back where the wire is and along the sides. And then you're going to do the same thing for the top portion. So come back after you finish sewing this and the two sides at the top, and then you're also going to sew this portion down, but I'll do that with you. Now on the top portion, I'm leaving the gap here, so I'm not sewing it to the neck, I'm just sewing the one edge. So I closed the edge and I left the necklace opening there. And then I'm going to take and make sure that the head is straight, and then line up the back. Once the head is straight, I'm going to line up and sew the top to the back of the head and secure the top portion to the back of the head. Just make sure the head is straight. Then you can take and just tie a knot once you've sewn it to the head. And then you can just leave any long loose yarn end as part of the hair. We're going to trim the hair later. Then you can see how you don't see the support on the back, but it keeps the head up straight. And this is what it looks like on the back. So now we can add more hair to the top portion to help kind of hide it as well. And then you can also go ahead and just bury your loose yarn ends. For the same color, I'm just going to go right through the shirt and then just bury it with the wire, through the wire portion and not through the top layer that we created. So the top layer I'm keeping open and just burying it through the wire portion. So go ahead, bury all of your loose yarn ends. Here is one of the stands that I made. You can see how I used the styrofoam. This is a 2-pack that I got from the dollar store, Dollar Tree. But you can find these probably at craft stores too. You can see how I put it onto, what I did was I took my third canvas that I had and I just cut it in half. So I had to get heavy duty scissors. I used my kitchen scissors and just cut this canvas in half. You can see how I used that for the bottom base. And then I put the styrofoam between the wire and the canvas base. I had to go to the hardware store to get the heavy duty copper wire because the craft stores, they have copper wire, but it's the really thin kind. And I like these too because they're coated. So you can get these at any hardware store and you can see how it's very malleable, which is what you want. So for my stand, I used 37 inches of craft wire. I folded mine, made a loop on one end, and then wrapped it around. And then to the fold is about 12 inches. And you can see how the end, I left that a little bit higher up. That way you'll have enough to form a little circle, and then I just wrapped the inside around one time. Then you just take and press the styrofoam covering on top of your wire and inch it up against the edge of the back. Make sure you have it where you want it, and then I just taped it down with the heavy duty packing tape. I kind of just taped one side down and then just pulled the tape across for the first one. You can see I used the heavy duty packing tape, and then just pull it tight to secure it. Make sure that your wire stays hidden. And then you can just take and just make sure you tape it all down. Then I put some tape across the back too, and then started taping along the sides until it's completely covered with tape. Then I needed a little bit more stability on the back of the stand, so I use these chopsticks. I don't tear them apart, I just keep it together. Then make sure that the bigger portion is on the bottom. line it up with the back, and then just tape it on. And that is my stand before I cover it with crochet. So now I'm going to show you how to make the covering for the stand. And I like this one because it looks like the waves of the ocean. The shells are kind of standing up just a little bit. Now this pattern with this yarn, it curls a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to wrap it around and have the back covering, so that won't matter. All of the rows, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows, and there's on each row you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each row has the same number of shells, but it just comes out at an angle, and then that causes it to curl just a little bit. So the yarn that I used for this one was equivalent to the Sugar and Cream Lily or the Peaches and Cream. So 100% cotton yarn is what I used, but I used the turquoise color. On video, I'm using I Love This Cotton yarn just to show you the difference between the two. It's also 100% cotton, and here's some information on this yarn. Let's see if I can find the color. The color is Royalty. You're going to need your 6.5mm crochet hook for this project, and a pair of scissors and your tapestry needle. The first thing you're going to do is take the yarn, fold it over on itself to form a loop. Take your crochet hook, put it right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and your thumb, then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through the loop, and then just cinch down the knot, and then you could cinch the loop around your crochet hook. Now we're going to make a chain. We're going to make a chain of 26, but I'm just going to show you 4 on video tutorial. So you just yarn over and go through the loop for 1 chain, 2 chain, 3 chain, 4 chain. So go ahead, make a chain of 26 and then come back. Then you should have a chain that looks like this. After making a chain of 26, you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So in the second chain from the hook, you're just going to bring up a loop, make your single crochet, and then we're going to make our first shell. So that you made a single crochet, now you're going to make a half double crochet. So just yarn over, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. Then you're going to make 2 double crochets. You just yarn over, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through 2 loops remaining, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the remaining 2 to complete a double crochet. Then you're going to make 1 more double crochet in the same stitch, and then you're going to make a half double crochet in the same stitch. So just yarn over, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. Then you're going to make a single crochet. And then that will complete your first shell. Then you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then make a single crochet into that 3rd stitch, and then repeat your shell. So that was a single crochet. Now I'm going to make a half double crochet, and then I'm going to make 2 double crochet into the same stitch, then you're going to make a half double crochet into the same stitch, and then you're going to make a single crochet, and then you completed your second shell. And you're going to repeat this all the way across to the end. I'm going to make one more with you. So I'm going to skip 2 stitches and then make a single crochet into the 3rd stitch. Then I'm going to make a half double crochet into the same stitch. Then 2 double crochet in the same stitch. Then a half double crochet in the same stitch. Then a single crochet. And then that completes my 3rd shell. And then you're going to repeat this all the way across. Skip 2 and then make your shell. And then when you reach the end, come back and I'll show you what to do next. So this is how my work looks. I have my shells all the way across. And I finished my last shell in my last stitch. So now I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead and turn your work. And then you're going to make a single crochet into that first double crochet in the shell. So go into that first double crochet in the shell and make a single crochet at the top of that stitch. Then you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to go in between the shells and make a single crochet. So in the space between the shells, make your single crochet. Then you're going to chain 3. And this is how my work is looking so far. So chain 3, and then in the first double crochet in the shell, go ahead and go to that stitch and make a single crochet, and then chain 3 and repeat. So you're going to do this all the way across. So now in the space between the shells, you're going to make a single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, make a single crochet in the first double crochet of the shell, and then repeat. And so your work will look like this. You'll have the chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet between the shells, chain 3, single crochet in the first double crochet of the shell, and then repeat all the way across and then come back. So now I've reached the end and I made my single crochet into the first double crochet stitch of the last shell. Now I'm going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to double crochet into that last stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the last stitch on the end, and then make my double crochet. Then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then turn my work. And then here you see how I'm facing the chain 3. This is the first chain 3 loop, and then here's the second chain 3 loop on the end. So you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain 3 loop and then make your shell. So now I'm going to make my half double crochet in the same chain 3 loop, 2 double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet. and then you've completed your shell. So you see how your shell will sit atop or above your previous row's shell? That's how you know that you're not putting too many shells, that you have the same number of shells for each row. Now, what you're going to do is, for the previous row, you could see the shell is right here. And again, you have the chain 3 loop before and then the chain 3 loop after. You're always going to skip the next chain 3 loop and work into the second one. So just go right into the second chain 3 loop and make your single crochet, and then complete your shell. Oh, I'm going to redo that because I kind of stretched my loop. There we go. And then I'm going to make my shell, so half double crochet, 2 double crochet into that chain 3 loop, the second chain 3 loop, half double crochet, and then single crochet to complete your shell. So you can see how that will kind of push up the shells a little bit, kind of simulating the ocean waves, which I think is really pretty, which is why I made it this way. So again, you can see how this is the second row here, and this is the first row, and the shells are lining up like I want them to. So again, now I have my 2 chain 3 loops. I'm going to skip the first one and then work my shell into the second one. Now when you reach the end of the row, the second row, actually it's the third row because our chain 3 loops was actually the second row, but I'll say the second row of shells. When you reach the end, come back and then I'll show you what to do next.